What's up, guys, and welcome back to the channel. So there has been a kind of a project that's literally been sitting around the shop, I would say, for almost a year. Last year, Rednick came out here, gave him a ride in this car, and we blew it up. So this year, he actually just came out. We did a whole trade with his old F250 and a new F350 dually, and we kind of outlined all that project on his channel as well as the Trevor Jameson vlog channel. But we have this thing right here, which is my K24 all-wheel drive, let's call it 1,000 horsepower Lambo.
I blew up.
That you
blew up in the passenger seat. I gave it the good old rod knock luck, and then you rebuilt it to something bigger and better.
And then it made a ton of power. We completely changed the setup. We did this giant front mount intercooler. So look at that thing, 6 inches thick, big girl. We have the block is actually a fully sleeved block. It has I don't know what it is. I think Aries pistons, some serious rods, some powder. Like it's a serious engine. Fully built head, and it actually has VTEC killer cams, or has VTEC killer rockers in the cylinder head. It has an RTEC turbo manifold, so it's actually kind of their Big Daddy K-Series manifold, where it kind of puts the turbo in the back of the engine. So you can see, you know, previously we had kind of a sidewinder setup over here, so turbo is over here. Now it's there in the back. Since then, we took it to the track once, and this thing fired up. It ran great. It ripped. Took it to the track. It ran its fastest pass on the lowest amount of boost, which was like a 900, maybe it was like a 92 or something like that. But basically on 20 pounds of boost, which previously the fastest we went was around in that same territory on like 38 pounds of boost or something. So this thing was absolutely ripping. Maybe it was more than 20 pounds, but I don't even know. It's essentially been a year. This thing has been sitting, and it has a little misfire, and that is the whole reason it's been sitting. This whole last year, we've just been busy with a bunch of stuff. The plan was to get it going. PFI Speed is actually having it's called PFI Speed Fest at our local track. Goal for the last probably 2 months has been to get this thing ready for this event. I dropped off another cylinder head at the machine shop because I believe that the issue is in the cylinder head and something to do with the VTEC killer rockers, because it uses a CRV type setup. Anyhow, we're gonna pull the valve cover off of it. We're gonna look at it a little bit. We might pull the cylinder head and just see if we could try to get this thing figured out before this weekend, because I would love to be able to bring this thing out and go rip with everybody. But it has a weird misfire, so I guess we'll get it figured out and go from there. All right, first start in a year, almost a year. So Rednick is officially on his way home to Connecticut with the truck and the trailer. He left Sunny here with me, and we are now getting started on this thing. So as you've seen in that last clip of me firing this thing up, I'm actually surprised. Fired up. I guess I'm not really surprised. This thing has always started and ran pretty decent. It hasn't really had any issues starting. It just has that weird little pop, 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 pop. It just doesn't sound right. There's definitely a misfire in there, and I think it's for sure something in the cylinder head. We've checked valve lash. We've checked compression. It has compression, like even compression across all cylinders. There's something weird with it for sure. And so I actually took the old cylinder head that was on the other engine when it threw a rod and sent it to the machine shop. They pressure tested it, they decked it, made sure everything was good to go. So that is actually on its way down here right now, getting delivered. So my buddy's gonna be here in like 2 hours. So I'm gonna go ahead and, I guess, just pull off the cylinder head, and then we are just going to go back to a straight VTEC cylinder head. And I think this is going to make this car a lot nicer. Obviously, it'll be a lot nicer to drive around and do stuff like that. Not really like I daily drive this thing or anything anyhow, but just with the VTEC killer cams, they're a lot more rowdy. They sound a lot cooler, but you know, go back to a standard VTEC head, and I think with this whole setup, everything should work pretty good. So I guess intake manifold, exhaust manifold, cylinder head, all that stuff's got to come off. So I'm just going to throw you guys on the time lapse over here, and we're going to get to work. Cylinder head is off of this unit. Everything at the bottom end all looks good. Everything in the head appearingly looks good. Interesting enough though, look at this. So not shiny, not shiny, shiny, not shiny. Don't understand that. But then also right here, this is the bottom of the VTEC rocker things. But look on these cylinders right here. Bam. Does that mean that something's touching there, and then that's what makes them, you know, not work? Because if they're doing that, like that's probably not good. Maybe they need grinded down, or it's weird because this one doesn't really. Well, they all kind of have it, so maybe that's it. Maybe that was my issue this whole time. Maybe they just needed grind it down a little bit. But yeah, other than that, we're not really messing with any of this stuff. We're pretty much just going to take this cylinder head right here and slap that back on. We have all of the VTEC rocker assembly and everything right there in the box, so we'll get it all cleaned up, chuck it back on there, and fire it up, and we should hopefully be ready to go. All right, boys, so she is finally back together. I think I started on this thing at like 3 in the afternoon, and right now it's 8:30. So let's say 5.5 hours, cylinder head swapping some things, taking our time, making sure everything is good and all buttoned up. So it's time to fire it up, I guess. So should we see what happens?
You need the jump box?
I don't know.
See?
Maybe we'll see. You wanna? Yeah. Let me give that the hold. And jump box. obviously this car is all-wheel drive. It has been all-wheel drive for a long time, but in order to put it on the dyno, obviously it's only two-wheel drive dyno. So what we do is we get underneath it and we pull the drive shaft out and we just kind of zip tie it off to the side. Obviously the rear doesn't move, but the front will. So it's also a good time to double check some stuff below this thing, make sure everything is looking good, looking tight. And I think we're gonna spend a few minutes checking some things over, and then we're just gonna roll her forward onto the rollers and see what she does. Anyways, so the Civic survived the dyno, just got the drive shaft and everything hooked back in. Played around with the two-step, and it popped the rivets out of the hood. So that was probably had to do with it like slamming on it once. But you can see right here, those are the rivets that were kind of shoved through there. But it was kind of shooting out right there. So I got it to make 10 pounds on the anti-lag, or like the launch control, and was kind of playing with the settings with that, because previously I had it set up on like a rolling start, and that's the only way I could get it to be like really aggressive, because I haven't had a chance to just sit there for like 10 minutes and just whack it, you know, and play around with it and different theories and stuff. So that last one, I basically got it to make 10 pounds of boost, which should be pretty spicy for the launch. It's pretty much going to be the first time it's going to be out at the track since all year, which is crazy. So final number that we ended up making was 724, and it did end up spinning, so we didn't even get to go all the way. So you could see right here, it was only reading up to, that is 7,400 RPM, and we were actually revving it out to 9,000 RPM. So definitely some discrepancies there and all that, but 724 would have probably read a little bit more maybe if it wasn't spinning. But yeah, that was like 24 pounds of boost, 24 or 26 pounds of boost, I think, because it showed 40 on the data log. 40 psi minus atmospheric, which is about 13 or 14 psi, so 26, 20 something, whatever you want to call that. Yeah, even it's crazy because you could see the mile an hour on the lower power poles was 133, and this one ended up going up to 118, just because of the slip, and then I just kind of let out of it. This thing's definitely wild on the dyno. It was spinning quite a bit. We sprayed some spray adhesive on the tires to try to stick a little bit better, and it didn't seem like it definitely helped a little bit, but it didn't help as much as it needed to. But yeah, it's late. It's almost 1 in the morning, and basically we just got to get this thing loaded in the trailer, and then we're taking it to the PFI Speed Fest tomorrow at Pueblo Motorsports Park. So pretty excited about that. You guys will probably see that video coming up very shortly, but I just wanted to get this dyno video out. Eric, what did you think?
That thing sounds scary. I can't wait to see it at the track. It's gonna be unreal. I can't imagine it just full power going down the track on them slicks.
It's gonna be spicy. Like, this thing is a handful. Like, it's a handful on the dyno, it's a handful on the street. It's just a wild car to drive, and I definitely think it probably needs some limited slips in it, front, rear, all that other stuff. But yeah, it's an absolute ripper, and I'm excited that it survived on the dyno with the VTEC head, and it seems like all of the misfires and everything went away. Felt super strong, felt super smooth. Had a weird little transition going into VTEC before. So you could see on this last one, so it actually made less power on the last pole, but you could see right here, the previous poles I had VTEC hitting about 5,000 RPM, so you could see it actually dropping off right here. And then because the VTEC wasn't in its like efficiency zone, so then on the last pole, I basically enabled VTEC at 6,000 RPM, and you could see how the power comes in, VTEC hits, and then it just goes up. So this, I had a little bit of a sputter right there, and I think just because it had too much cam in it, or too much VTEC, I don't know what you want to call it. The VTEC just needed moved up, so I played with that a little bit, and then everything felt a lot better. So yeah, fueling and everything looked super good. 724 horse, 20-some pounds of boost, 24, 26 pounds of boost, whatever you want to call it. She freaking rips, and I'm excited to see what it does at the track tomorrow, and we will probably end up turning it up to 30, 33 pounds, depending on how everything goes. But there's some big dogs out there. I'm just excited to have this car back out and driving, and hopefully when we're done at the track, it survives, and then we'll give Eric a rip in this thing.
Yeah,
and we'll see.
Let's see 40 pounds.
Let's see what that's like on the street. But I appreciate you guys watching this video. Let me know what you think about having the Lambo killer back out on something. We got to load this thing in the trailer, but see you guys in the next video. Later.